Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Friends, today, Saturday, the 28th May 2022, we hope to study the 5 spiritual faculties, or it's called Indriya in Pali. These 5, namely faith, sati. Faith means sati. Effort, virya. Mindfulness. I am sorry, I made a mistake. Faith is saddha. Faith, saddha. Effort, virya. Mindfulness is sati. Concentration, samadhi. And wisdom, panya. So these are the they are also called strengths or forces when they become powers, or pancha bala. They are called pancha bala. When developed together, when all are developed together, then they become pancha bala. These powers and faculties are part of the Bodhipakya Dhamma. You have heard of it. Bodhipakya Dhamma are called the 37 enlightenment factors. You know, there are 37 factors that help us to get enlightened. And these are part of them. When they are well developed, the dark forces of greed, hatred, and ignorance cannot dominate the mind. When practiced as bases, they are like power plants that generate electricity. As powers, they bring all the elements of the Eightfold Path together and become factors of enlightenment. While they are faculties, Indriya, they are only considered as a potential for enlightenment. They themselves don't bring in the enlightenment, but the powers do. All of us have these faculties within us, but they remain dormant if we do not activate them. The Buddha compared these to a team of horses drawing a wagon. You know, those days there were wagons. When one horse leads the other 2 pairs, the 2 pairs needed to be balanced with one another so that the wagon moves smoothly. In this simile, the first 2 pairs are faith and wisdom. The first one and the last one, you know, in the order. The second 2 pairs are effort and concentration. The lead horse is mindfulness. The first pair that has to be balanced is faith and wisdom. The Buddha compared faith to a blind giant. Can you see? He's a giant in, physique, but his eyes are blind. And wisdom to a cripple. He can't walk. Who is sharp-eyed? He has sharp eyes. These 2 team up with the blind giant carrying the sharp-eyed cripple on his shoulders so that they are able to go anywhere they want to go. Now, otherwise, alone they can't go. Cripple can't walk. Blind giant cannot see. This explains that faith alone is not enough to gain spiritual goals. But with wisdom as a guide, one could find right direction. Faith, or it's called Saddindriya, Saddha Indriya, is of two kinds. One, ordinary faith. Two, faith developed by mindfulness or meditation. Human beings perform generous acts like giving alms to the monastics or the poor and needy and try to live a moral life, but do not control their mind. This is ordinary faith. Meditative faith is of great strength and leads to wholesome volition or kusala kamma. Then such persons can easily reach one-pointedness of mind in meditation. Faith is the entry point to the Dhamma. So don't think that faith is not necessary. During the Buddha's time, when people listened to him, faith arose in them, in their minds really, and they took refuge in him. But no one should accept any teaching without investigation. So that is according to the Buddha's instruction. Faith is a quality of the heart, for it has love, devotion, giving, and humility connected to it. Can you see the beautiful qualities attached to faith? These are noble spiritual characteristics that may help us to understand the greatness of the three jewels, that is Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, and develop admiration, respect, and gratitude for showing us the way. But the Buddha taught that blind faith is useless. The analogy of the blind giant and the wise cripple suggests the importance of combining faith with wisdom. In the Kalama Sutta, I think you might have come across it, at least some of you. Kalama Sutta, the Buddha teaches the Kalamas how important it is to investigate and come to a decision and not to believe because one's family has always followed those, or it's found in books, or one's teacher says so, etc. Now, this is about the spiritual way, but according to mundane life also, we should not take things just by hearsay. We must find out, you see, investigate before accepting. In Buddhism, faith means something closer to trust or confidence. This includes trust and confidence in oneself. First of all, we must have confidence in oneself, knowing that one can overcome obstacles through one's practice. Now, you can see I'm talking about the practice mostly, not the mundane side, but it relates to the mundane too. Here, one learns that the teaching and the training are practicable, and when developed, will result in insight. In the Saddha Sutta, the Buddha compared the trust in the Dhamma is like a bird's trust in a tree where they build a nest. They will not build nests in any tree. They must trust that tree, that it will protect them. Such faith is born through experience, by seeing and knowing for oneself how problematic and imperfect our life is. For instance, we can verify the first and second noble truths, that is suffering and its cause, within ourselves many times in a day. You have only to look. We can see the impermanence and unsatisfactoriness of everything without much difficulty. This is the way to gain wisdom. Not by hearsay, not by listening to somebody, not by reading, but by practice. One who has faith loses 5 terrors. That is, worry about the necessities of life, loss of reputation, death, unhappy rebirth, the impression one may make on an audience. These are the 5 things that you lose. You don't have any terror about those things. Faith is considered a gift and also a virtue to be developed. In the present day, the world and science admires intellectual smartness, and faith is considered a weak quality. The Buddha was rational, and his teaching agrees with reason. He had faith in truth and his ability to find it. So he left the palace, his palace, wife and child, his parents, in search of a way out of the miseries of existence. He didn't accept anything without investigation. He left his former teachers, Alara Kalama and Uddakarama Putta, his former teachers, when he realized that their Dhamma did not lead to liberation. It was his faith in himself. Now, as a Buddha's disciple, what kind of faith should we practice? Faith in the fruit of action. That is called Kamma Phala Saddha. And faith in the 3 jewels, Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. That is called Ratanataya Saddha. Buddhism is a Dhamma that is founded on faith, that is open to investigation and truth. Buddhism is not a closed religion where you say, oh, God has said this, therefore we must believe it. No, Buddha doesn't say that. Investigate, find out the truth for yourself. As faith increases, it turns into a faculty or Indriya. And when that faith does not totter or hesitate in disbelief or doubt, it becomes a power, bala. Faith makes the mind bright with confidence by suppressing the hindrances. I hope you can remember them. That is craving, ill will, sloth and torpor, restlessness and doubt. Restlessness and worry and doubt. The 5 hindrances. They are suppressed when you practice these. Faith is indispensable for both mundane and supra-mundane progress, for both progress, that is, for the ordinary life and also for the spiritual life. The other faculty that pairs off with faith is wisdom. Without wisdom, faith could make a person unbalanced. Faith alone. Wisdom is the most important requirement for gaining liberation. You know that, right? In order to acquire wisdom, it's necessary to develop right view and focus on the noble eightfold path and achieve a fair knowledge of the three worldly characteristics: anicca, impermanence; dukkha, unsatisfactoriness or suffering; and anatta, no self. Wisdom is not knowledge. You can get knowledge from books, from the computer, from so many things, right? But wisdom is not knowledge. It cannot be studied from books, etc. It's intuitive understanding that arises from close investigation of experience. Every experience that we come across, if we examine closely, that itself will give a lot of wisdom. It's insight into reality. One aspect of wisdom is seeing anicca or impermanence. Actually, they are all over, isn't that so? But we don't see it. Nothing in this world lasts forever. Trying to make things last and finding it impossible, the people suffer from frustration. Secondly, there is no one here to suffer. That is, there is, no self here. So if we really feel that there is no self, then we will not suffer so much. This problematic truth about no self is hidden from us until the mind is purified. This is called anatta, and it's the deepest lesson that wisdom has to teach us, which is not found in any other teaching. It means that nothing is inherently substantial and real. Most of our problems come from not understanding this truth, so that we try to protect ourselves and create bad karma due to wrong view, thinking that you're going to live forever. Whether it's the leader of a country, or whether it is, your own adult, whoever is thinking like that, it is the same. Even science says that this body and mind are in constant flux. When we begin to see this truth in ourselves, we will not grasp so much and make less demands upon existence. Then we could relax, delight in good things of life when they are present, and accept change without protest when they end. It's because when we have good things, we are very happy. When they go away, or when they are finished, we are very unhappy. Otherwise, we'll be balanced, right? So the heart grows wider as it learns that there is nothing to lose. And we could become more compassionate, kind, and connected. We'll be able to see the suffering of others along with ours, and thus feel a deeper, more lasting satisfaction, which will make good karma for us, because we'll try to help others and not only think of ourselves. Wisdom is not easily acquired. We have to train ourselves diligently. The Buddha says, wisdom is the source of light in the world. Mindfulness in the world is the wakeful one. Wisdom comes from facing our own dukkha and learning the lessons that suffering could teach us. These are letting go of our holdings and graspings to desire, selfishness, anger, greed, etc. Then when we give up all those things, let go of those things, then we could enjoy the lightness, ease, and peace of not having a self to protect and care for. The Buddha says there are three kinds of persons. First, one with inverted wisdom. That is, she or he goes to the temple, but does not listen to the Dhamma. Like a pot turned upside down, and when water is poured, it runs off. Second, lap-like wisdom. That is, goes to the temple and listens to the Dhamma. But when she or he rises up, does not think about the Dhamma, like having food stuff on your lap, on his or her lap, and scatters it all over when rising. That is the lap-like wisdom. Third is a person with wide wisdom, attends to the Dhamma talk from beginning to end, like a pot kept upright. When water is poured into it, it will collect the water, right? Like the Dhamma, you listen and you take it in and try to practice it. Four things lead to the growth of wisdom. That is, association with good persons, noble persons, hearing the good Dhamma, careful attention and practice that agrees with the Dhamma. The practice must agree with the Dhamma, right? Willingness to listen and asking questions are also nutriments for wisdom. The other pair of faculties, now we have talked about faith and wisdom. The other pair of faculties is effort and concentration. Effort or virya meant hero in ancient times. That was the meaning of virya. And during the time of the Buddha, it meant a warrior. It meant a warrior who overcomes his enemies. This what am I going to do? Okay, so stop. So Yes, during the Buddha's time, it meant a warrior. The word virya meant warrior who overcomes his enemies. This strength can be both mental and physical. If one is struggling with laziness, sloth and torpor, etc., the hindrances, how can one develop virya? Firstly, you could examine your daily life to see what is causing this lethargy. For instance, it could be your job, which you don't like, or it's too difficult for you, or too easy for you, or whatever it is. Or it can be a relationship, not necessarily a relationship in the home. It can be a relationship in the office, whatever. Or even a wrong diet. The wrong diet also could make you lethargic. But remember that stopping this situation does not mean giving up your responsibilities. As one teacher said, these obstacles are instances in your life for a purpose. If you tackle them properly, you learn from it and also go forward. If our energy is used for meditation, mindfulness, and attention, our dukkha or suffering would be reduced. Our mental faculties would become more acute, and our daily living would be more harmonious and easy. In the Vitakka Santana Sutta of the Anguttara Nikaya, the Buddha has defined the spiritual power of effort as the firm and steadfast effort to abandon unwholesome states and to acquire wholesome states. That is what the Buddha gives as a definition for this effort, virya. Though effort and energy are sometimes interchangeable and used in that way, there is a difference between them. Energy comes first. Energy to do something, right? Energy. And effort directs it and uses it. Effort is needed to sit in meditation. You cannot sit in meditation unless you make an effort sometimes, right? To be with the breath. Otherwise, the mind, starts wandering. Feel it, feel the breath, and know the breath, and let go of unskillful thoughts, etc. All that needs virya or effort. The Buddha compared the whirling to a person whose turban is on fire. The head, it can be even the head. Then he will need extra effort, undivided mindfulness to put the fire out. If one wants to practice diligently, this kind of determination is needed. Everyone has more energy for the things they like to do. That is social life, entertainment, etc. If we realize the shortness of our lives and how unsatisfactory it is, and when we spend all our energy on sensual pleasures that do not give us total fulfillment, we are wasting our energy. A fine example of unbalance between effort and concentration is given in Anguttara Nikaya. It's in the section 655. When Sona was a monk at that time, thought of disrobing and doing meritorious deeds in lay life. He was a very rich man before, right? Before becoming a monk, because even after much energetic striving, until the soles of his feet were bleeding by walking meditation. So at that time, now he felt very frustrated. His mind was not liberated from the taints after so much striving. Then the Buddha came there and reminding Sona of his knowledge of the veena or lute. He used to be very fond of the lute as a layman, explained that too loose strings or too tight strings would not produce a musical sound. Similarly, your practice too must be balanced without clinging and not grasping, but being heedful, linking serenity with energy, and achieve evenness of the spiritual faculties, all five, right? Energy linked with concentration and being mindful always. So Buddha gave a long sermon. These are just a few things from the sermon. At the end of the sermon, Venerable Sona attained arahantship. Concentration, now we talked about virya. Concentration, samadhi, arises out of the effort to be mindful. Usually, our mind is scattered in random thoughts, desires, fears, hopes, feelings, etc. But when mindfulness is more even, this scattered energy gathers around a single point, becomes focused, and gives the power to act. When concentration deepens, the mind becomes calm, balanced, and spacious. The faculty of concentration should be understood as right concentration, which is a factor of the Noble Eightfold Path. Concentration is singleness of the mind or attainment of jhana. The mind will be composed and unified with the distractions weakened. Wisdom helps to determine which thoughts are useful and what we can let go of. We begin to be self-correcting, not correcting other people. Thus, developing more mental peace and wisdom, and also freedom. In the practice of jhana, even if hindrances are removed, lapses in mindfulness and alertness can leave openings for the hindrances to return. They can come back because they are not totally eliminated. Wisely looking at them, one may realize that a distracting thought really takes up more energy and then drop it. Knowing that, a distracting thought will bring more, will use up a lot of energy because we have to, go on thinking about it too much, right? So just drop it. Many scientists have an unusually high capacity for concentrated thought. When Sir Isaac Newton boiled his watch instead of the egg his landlady had given him, it showed his intensity in focusing his mind on his intellectual task. When truly concentrated, all distortions all distinctions between self and others is forgotten. The deepest absorption is samadhi while meditating, which prepares the mind for seeking liberation. Of the 5 faculties, the leading one is mindfulness. It's like a guide or observer who will keep us on the right path. It's up to us to see how much of it is in any given thought moment. When the list of the 5 faculties are given, mindfulness is placed in the middle to show that it is the faculty that keeps the others in order. If faith is strong and wisdom weak, one may believe everything without investigation. Similarly, if wisdom is strong, it may be used cunningly to deceive others. The Buddha says that one who possesses supreme mindfulness remembers and recollects what was done and said long ago. This concept is central to Buddhism. It's only in the present moment that we can notice our thoughts and sense our bodies to see the causes of our unhappiness or happiness. Mindfulness is the observing power of the mind, which makes us not forget what's happening. Now, if we are mindful, we see everything without distortion or likes and dislikes. Mindfulness combined with concentration develops inward calm, sees reality like seeing one's face in a mirror. Strong mindfulness protects the mind from becoming agitated or slip into idleness. It's like salt in a curry. It's called universal by the Blessed One because the mind can have mindfulness as a refuge and protection. Thank you. Now, if you have any questions, please ask. No questions, right? So then we'll do a little meditation. So I hope you are all ready for a little meditation. That is, sit comfortably and relaxed, but upright. The body must be upright. You can be seated, only the top part of the body. Take a few deep breaths and slowly let it out. Hold as far long as possible. And let out slowly, right? Now close your eyes. Start focusing on the belly, the abdomen. Up through the ribs, come to the ribs. Then to the top of the chest. And to the top of the throat. Then slowly and gently exhale letting your body relax. Start at the belly, go up through the ribs to the top of the chest and to the top of the throat, and then slowly exhale, letting it out. That is the breath, right? Now allow your breathing to return to its natural rhythm. Just look at it, how it is, the in-breath and out-breath. Sometimes the breath may be short, or sometimes it might be deep, sometimes shallow. Let it be as it is. You can feel the breath moving through the body. See how the belly expands, the abdomen expands when the air goes in, and then contracts when it goes out. How the ribs expand and it contracts. The air moves across the nose and the upper lip. You can feel it. Taking in and letting it out. Feel the physical sensations of the breath going in and out. There are two places that you can feel very well. That is the nose for some people and the belly, or maybe both places for certain people. Look at the breath very closely at the nose and at the belly. The chest also. You can feel the rise and fall. Now, when this is happening, there might be thoughts coming. Thoughts, let them come and also let them go. Don't try to hold on to them. Come back to the breath. If there are sounds, now you are in your houses, so there might be sounds. Be mindful. Just use the word hearing, hearing, not saying it, but in your mind, saying hearing, hearing, let it go. You will at once see the note or notice the reaction that you have internally when you hear sound. Your mind will, go across to that. So when the sound is gone, come back to the breath. Did you hear the bell? Slowly open your eyes.